Hello everyone. Recently I've compiled a list of various items and supplies for survival that we might need in the coming months. In my entire life, I don't remember a time with so many uncertainties and possibilities that could happen before or right after November. It could be something grand, or it could be a lengthy process that will take a long time. I decided to make a list of supplies, which ultimately includes 50 to 100 different items. This list contains truly important things for preparation, not specialized goods that often flash in news headlines. I wanted to gather the basic things you would need. I already mentioned that often it is the little things that can derail a perfect plan, and this list is about that. I will try to cover as many of these points in this video, although I understand that I won't be able to cover all 100 if I don't want to record a 1.5-hour video. So I prepared a PDF file, a 3-page document containing all these things and even more that I will talk about today. There will also be an article, to which I will leave a link below, with a bit more detail on all these points. With this checklist, you can simply print it, mark off the items you already have, and create a list of what you need. Many of them you probably already have. If you are just starting your preparations or want to improve your plan, this list is perfect to eliminate unnecessary anxiety and confusion related to preparation and ensure you have all the little things that can complicate the process. Let's move on to the list. We'll start with food and water. These are the foundation of a good preparation plan. These things are necessary for us every day. In the food section, I have several staples: rice, pasta, flour, favorite survival supplies, products in 5-gallon buckets, dry beans, lentils, all of which can be stored for a long time. One must know how to prepare them properly and have the necessary supplies for that. Also, don't forget about canned goods, soups, ready meals, vegetables, fruits, and meat. This is very important for balanced nutrition in survival conditions. You need proteins, fats, and all necessary vitamins and minerals. And of course, do not forget about salt, sugar, and various spices, which can sometimes be overlooked but play an important role. It is important to consider that even a simple dish, which will be quite acceptable in survival conditions, can be made more interesting. For example, if you love coffee, make sure you have enough supplies. We, for instance, keep several extra packs. Don't forget to buy a French press or percolator in case the electricity goes out. Coffee is one of those bad habits that can help maintain sanity, alongside cigarettes and alcohol. It is also worth considering the long-term storage of products. I sell survival products and can say that long-term food supplies can be significantly increased in a short time. If you have a month's worth of food, buying a few buckets can provide for 3 months. These buckets are easy to store. They can be stacked in a cupboard, and their shelf life is 25 years. Although I do not recommend that all your supplies consist solely of these long-term buckets, they contain a lot of salt and do not provide all the necessary vitamins and minerals, they are indeed good for quickly increasing supplies. Long-term food supplies are something to consider, even if you are cooking for just 72 hours or for several months. Don't forget about vitamins and supplements, as our diet may change, and we may not get the vitamins and minerals we are used to. And of course, don't forget about supplies for your pets. Make sure you have enough food for dogs and cats. We have horses and chickens, which require more supplies, but taking care of pets is also very important. It's also worth having seeds. They may take time to grow, but they are a great way to supplement food supplies. If you notice the situation worsening, you can plant seeds and possibly increase your reserves. In the same spirit, it is useful to have canning jars, vacuum storage bags, and oxygen absorbers, and to study the process of preserving the products you buy in the store to extend their shelf life. If you are making soups and stews, it's worth mastering this process. Canning with the All-American device will be a great choice. Don't forget the necessary materials, such as canning jars, vacuum storage bags, and oxygen absorbers. It is also important to have options for cooking and water supplies. If you have dried beans or flour, make sure you have recipes to use these ingredients to the fullest. You need to have cooking options both indoors and outdoors. Recently, I made a video about indoor cooking options and emergency methods. When it comes to water, it's worth getting a good portable filter. Many of us already have 1 or 2 such filters in our emergency bags or at home, but a quality kitchen filter is also needed, capable of removing not only Giardia and Cryptosporidia, but also many other contaminants. In addition, you will need water purification tablets. There are several types, and Micropure is an excellent brand. It's also worth considering alternative water sources, whether it's a rainwater collection system or just a place to get water if supplies run low. Don't forget about water storage containers. I recommend 2 gallons of water per person per day, but sometimes it's impossible to store that much, so alternative methods should be on hand. Also, have containers for dirty water so that if needed, you can collect it without using contaminated buckets. Now let's move on to questions of energy and light. The main thing you need is a generator, whether it's gasoline or solar. It can power large household appliances. This is the item you should add to your wish list, as it can be useful in various situations. In the context of energy and light, you will need matches, lighters, candles, flashlights, or lamps. All these items will be useful even in the case of a simple power outage. I would even recommend assembling a blackout kit, a box with tools containing all the necessary items. If you are not home, someone might take this kit, which contains flashlights, extension cords, and other necessary items. Also, make sure you have enough firewood for a campfire. Even if you don't have a fireplace, there are many alternatives. But it is important that these are processed firewood, not just trees that need to be cut down. One can occasionally buy a bundle of firewood at the store. This is something to stock up on as much as possible, and it will be very useful. Along with firewood, you will need fuel for storage, which is necessary not only for cars, but also for everything you will cook. This can be propane, butane, and other types of fuel needed for cooking in various situations. It is important not only to have supplies for cooking, but also fuel for everything to work. You should also think about other things. For example, about fuel. Always make sure that your car's tank is at least half full. Consider the half tank is empty, because you never know when you might need fuel. The last thing you want is to be on empty in an emergency. Now, let's move on to medical issues. You will need several different first aid kits. I would recommend a large first aid kit for emergencies, which should be kept at home. It should contain everything necessary. You may also have small kits for cars or emergency bags, which won't contain everything possible, but will be useful in various situations. Don't forget about the first aid kit for injuries, which will be useful in case of serious damage, and also to get the appropriate education for providing first aid. It's also important to think about your pets. Lisa has a large first aid kit for horses, and we have supplies for chickens, pets, and dogs. Keep in mind that you may not be able to consult a veterinarian, so knowing how to provide first aid to animals at home can be very important. Don't forget about personal protective equipment, masks, gloves, gowns, and plastic window films in case of a pandemic. All of this should be at hand. As for medications, you will need various over-the-counter drugs for diarrhea, cold remedies, and so on. Make sure you have a supply of such medications. If you are taking prescription drugs, consider how you will handle them. For example, the Jace Medical Service allows you to renew prescriptions or consult a doctor about possible solutions. Be sure to consider this, especially when it comes to insulin, which requires refrigeration, and you need to think about how to organize this process. Now let's move on to questions of heating and cooling. This is very important, even if there is a small power outage. Make sure you have spare blankets. We have several containers full of blankets, sleeping bags, and camping gear. If you live in a hot climate, you will also need fans, as it is not only about the cold, but also the heat. If the temperature rises above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you need to know how to handle the situation. You should also have tarps in case windows break, or if you need to reinforce any structures. Plastic sheeting will help seal windows and insulate the house. Don't forget about warm socks, clothes, and thermal underwear. Just as we store blankets, we have supplies of warm clothing and jeans. We have several containers with old clothes that may come in handy in an emergency. Preserving warmth and coolness is very important, and we should consider many aspects related to this. Additionally, self-defense must be taken into account, as various scenarios may arise where it is needed. We talk about firearms and ammunition, as well as less lethal options. Operational security and situational awareness are also important to avoid dangerous situations. The safety of your home and fortifications is another important aspect. For example, you can install 3-inch screws in the door frames or use special protective pads on the doors to prevent anyone from breaking them down. Reinforcing windows is another way to reduce the likelihood of your home becoming a target. There are special window films that make your home less noticeable compared to your neighbors. It's important to think through all these measures, as in times of civil unrest or other threats in your area, you need to be prepared for any eventuality. Self-defense and home protection, as well as the safety of the supplies and equipment you have accumulated, are truly important. The next point concerns hygiene products, which can generally be related to first aid. It is essential to ensure that you have enough toilet paper, soap, shampoos, toothpaste, and even razors. Although razors are not vital, they can help maintain a sense of normalcy. Don't forget about oral hygiene. A toothache in disaster conditions is a very unpleasant problem that one would prefer to avoid. Therefore, it is important to maintain your hygiene. It's also advisable to stock up on bottles of bleach, garbage bags, and paper plates for waste disposal. It's important to consider all these things, as in any emergency situation you don't want to get sick or have someone in your family get sick, adding to all the other problems. The next point is tools. Here, two types can be distinguished: survival tools and ordinary household tools. These include hammers, axes, shovels, gardening tools, and work gloves. Everything you might have at home. Most likely, many of them are already there, just put away out of sight. You can use the checklist I prepared to verify what you have and ensure everything is ready. After all, a lot of unpredictable things happen in life, and you never know what you might face. In what situations might this be needed? It's always nice and convenient to have everything you need on hand, especially if, say, the store has closed and you can't buy the necessary items. Therefore, having tools such as screwdrivers, drill sets, socket sets, and hand tools is really important. They can be useful in a variety of situations. There are also things that are not tools but go well with them. Tape, ropes, duct tape, all of these can be useful. I mentioned plastic coverings, packing tape, paracord, and twine. We collect the twine that we use for packing hay and store it in large bags. No one knows if it will be useful, but we have it. All these things that can work in tandem with tools are also important. In addition, there are survival and everyday carry tools, multifunctional tools, fixed blade knives, pocket knives, all of which can help start a fire and solve other tasks. All these so-called survival tools that we, prepared people, constantly talk about also deserve attention. If you pack a backpack for emergencies, you will have a good list of necessary items. There are several things that are not separate belongings but are very important. Make sure each family member has an emergency backpack, even if they are not into prepping. Just put it in their car. This will be a mini emergency kit that they can turn to in case of need. Also, make sure that each family member's car is prepared even for small issues like a flat tire. Ensure that emergency road kits, medical first aid kits, and other necessary items are in their cars. We collected such kits for our teenagers, placed them in small boxes, and stored them in the trunk. They didn't even think about it, but several times they had to use these kits. The average person travels a lot, so it's important for our cars to be ready for various situations. Also, make sure you have enough cash for emergencies. The amount will vary for everyone, but it's important to have some sum. Yes, the value of the dollar decreases every day, but in case of a disaster or emergency when ATMs and other services may not work, you might need cash. Therefore, try to have as much cash as possible. For example, $100 in small bills in your wallet and a larger amount in a safe place at home. Also, consider the time frames while developing your preparation plan. Don't just think about stocking up on food and, I will prepare my water. Then I will take care of the first aid kit so that everything is ready at the same time. You prepare for a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, or a whole year. Think of it as time frames and create a comprehensive preparation plan. This list contains a lot of things, and as I mentioned, I made this document because the article contains much more information, and in the future, I will probably add something new. But these are just the basic supplies that cover almost any situation that may arise, and they are important things to have. Then you can adapt the list to your needs. I have a video in which I talk about several items that I believe will truly change the approach to preparation and significantly simplify some tasks, such as an inverter generator or an American solar oven. Once you take care of all these basics, you can expand your supplies and work on additional equipment. If you want, watch this video to learn more about them. That's all for today. Don't forget to download the document, take care of yourself, and get ready. We will talk to you later.